What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Web Buzz podcast. As always, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend. It's been a little while since I called him that, Sir Google Nader himself. I had to pull him out of the weeds a little bit because of this latest Google update. He's been buried, keeping his nose down. I think he didn't even go to sleep till like 4 a.m. the other morning. He doesn't know I know that, but I saw him posting things at like his 4 a.m. But Mr. Google Nader, Roger, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. But I can see you're not looking at my schedule because I don't think I've gone to sleep anything earlier than that for like the past year. But I appreciate that. You saw a couple of posts. I was just a little more active at that time the other night.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I felt a little bad. I was laying on the couch. It's, 11:30, 12 o'clock my time out here on the West Coast, midnight, 12 o'clock. And I see a message ping in our Discord channels, and it says Roger. And I'm like, what the hell? I thought he said he was going to bed 3 hours ago when I talked to you. And there you were, 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever your time, still grinding. But it shows. It just shows. That's how much we care about our clients.
Exactly. I was just having a conversation with one of my good friends that's contemplating whether he wants to be an entrepreneur or a corporate man, right? And I was explaining to it, it's like, you got to be careful when you make that decision because, one, you got to be all in, right? Number one, you got to be all in. Why? Because it's not always fun and games. That's 4 o'clock in the morning type work, and whatever comes up, you're up. There's nobody else, so you got to make sure that everything gets taken care of, and building a team and everything like that. So. Yeah, we're here, man. That's what we built, and we're super all in on this. So excited for that.
Well, we got an awesome show today. We've got another amazing individual guest. We've asked to come on the show, somebody kind of like Chris and Sal, like I said about them a couple weeks ago, somebody that's gone from an acquaintance, right? Somebody I just met randomly. She'll probably tell that story at some point, to more of a business contact, to kind of becoming a little bit of friends. And now I joke and I call her my little older sister because she's really pissed that she's older than me, but I look at her like my little sister. But I cannot wait to introduce you guys to Marie Baginski. I'm not even going to put a company to it because she is just she's cut from the same cloth that Roger and I are cut from, right? Always looking for how to do more as an entrepreneur, right? She's in the real estate space, obviously. She does a number of different facets in the real estate side. She's done a number of different things. We'll get into talking about that, but she's also got this passion that she's doing on the side with teaching and financial education and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, actually, before I bring her on, is there anything you want to say about her, Roger?
Oh, no, I think you nailed it, man. It's like, I agree. Marie's is just a trailblazer when it comes to, so I'm excited to talk to her on here and just get a little bit more of the backstory. Maybe there's some things that I don't know. I know you guys are super close, so I'm excited to dig deep and see what else we get out of her.
Awesome. Well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and welcome in Marie Baginski. Marie, what is going on, girl?
Hey, guys. Thank you for that introduction, Sean. I mean, the older little sister part I don't love so much. Yeah, we had a conversation about that. I was very upset the day that I found out you were younger than me. But yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk to you guys. And I had to actually mute myself for a second because I just heard my garage door open and I'm worried that my husband's about to start up the McLaren. So if you hear a really loud rumble in the background, I apologize
That's
in
all right.
advance.
We love the car. I know Roger. I think Roger was a 16-year-old, virgin when he got in that car. He got out with the biggest smile on his face. It was like the first time he ever got to hang out with his wife.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah, that was a really good experience. Loved it. So you got to tell your husband that was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, to get us started here, why don't you give everybody out there watching, listening to this episode, give them a little backstory. Who is Marie? What do you do? Obviously, you're in the real estate space if you know us, but catch us up a little bit. Give us a little bit of the backstory on who's Marie.
All right. I guess I'll try and keep it short because there's a lot to it, right? I feel like all of us have a long backstory. But I went to my first real estate conference back in like 2005. I went to the Real Estate Wealth Expo at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City, where the headline speakers that weekend were Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, and Donald Trump.
So nobody anybody
Nobody
knows.
anybody knows. Now, I will say I went back in 2006 and Than Merrill was selling the Fortune Builder Marketing Boot Camp in a backpack that I bought for $500. So there were all these little breakout sessions and all that stuff. And I just listening to all these guys and all these different things. It's like something I never learned in school, like never taught at home. And I was like, wow, real estate is really going to be like my ticket to financial freedom and being my own boss and kind of living the life of my dreams. So I was working at that time. I was an electrical engineer and project manager for 14 years, working with contractors and engineers and doing all these things kind of in that space. And then I started just getting educated little by little and starting to, Roger mentioned his friend who's like thinking like, do I want to be a corporate man or do I want to be an entrepreneur? And I like kept like just dipping my feet in the water. Right. And like, all right,
Right.
let's like, we'll flip this house. We'll see how it goes. My first flip, by the way, took me 4 years. So I don't know if either one of you know this story, but my first flip we bought in 2009 and we didn't sell it until 2013.
That's some holding costs right there, girl.
We actually made a little bit of money, just a little. And we were more happy to get the money back that we had wrapped up in it than anything else.
Like, I don't care if I even make anything, just give me it back.
Right. But that was a crazy story. And, we had a contractor walk away with a check for $5,000 that we never saw again. We had the buildings department come and shut us down because we didn't pull the right permits. And it took us 9 months to get all that lifted and get plans drawn up and permitting back on track and be able to do work again. And then we literally ran out of money. We were doing work ourselves to save money. We ran out of money. I had to take out a 401k loan. My husband took out an early pension loan. We finished it up. It's like I have pictures of me and my brother, like mudding the walls legitimately. And then we finished it. I had my real estate license. I had become an agent on the side. I was so excited to list my first property. And we listed it, I think, October 6th or 7th. And October 29th, Hurricane Sandy hit New York, and that house was under 6 feet of water.
Man,
I have heard that part of the story. That one always is like, oh.
I kind of love where this is going because it is the real talk around real estate. What really happens, right?
Seriously. So, listen, we luckily were able to rebuild. We got everything that we needed, and 9 months later, got it sold. But we legit had to rebuild and pull off all the sheetrock up to 6-7 feet in the air, replace a lot of plumbing, electrical, cabinets, flooring. I mean, I flipped my first house twice. So
did that factor into the 4-year hold time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was part of it. That was like that extra year on the back end. So
awesome. Well, catch us up a little bit up to the present time here. Obviously, there's a lot, folks, and I'll just kind of sum up what I know of Marie and her husband. First off, I love Marie and her husband mainly because of her husband.
Okay.
And the fact that he's a firefighter from New York during the 9/11 time. So kind of a soft spot in my heart, obviously coming from the military side on there. But you guys eventually left New York and you found your way out to a sunnier, less wet environment.
Yes. Phoenix, Arizona, baby.
And that's when real estate really kind of took off for you guys, correct? So catch us up a little bit. What have you guys been doing over the last couple of years in the Phoenix market? And what is that kind of transformed into today?
Yeah, so we started continuing to flip properties here. We would do, maybe one, two properties on the side while I was still working as an engineer. My husband was at that point really a stay-at-home dad. And then in 2014, we actually bought our first Airbnb. A good friend of mine she used to sell timeshares, and she was just in that whole like vacation mode and just knew about all these different ways of taking vacations and things that people were doing. And she was like, "Oh, my parents bought a place out here, but they live in Texas, but I Airbnb it for them when they're not here." And I was like, "What's Airbnb?" Like, I didn't even know what it was back in 2014. But she kind of showed me that and the income potential with that. So yeah, we bought our first property to list on Airbnb back then, and that has been a great business model up to, we have 5 properties today and we own all of those. So we don't do rental arbitrage, which is, big in the short-term
Mm-hmm.
rental world. And we still flip a couple properties a year. We're not doing really like bulk 20, 30 properties at a time. We're really doing more high-end or luxury flips or value add where we're adding square footage. So that's kind of been our niche.
Yeah, you guys don't take on too many of the cookie cutter type
Yeah, I don't
rehabs.
think,
Every rehab they've ever done, folks, that I've had the privilege of seeing or hearing about has always been grand.
yes.
Adding second stories, adding a shit ton of square footage to the back of it, something like that. And that's actually how I got to know you, was in one of your amazing luxury end type flips. There's still a picture floating around out there on the internet,
Yeah.
I think,
Of you standing
of
in the
that day.
shower.
Yeah, you want to tell everybody kind of how that all went down?
Yeah, so um
How I ended up in your shower?
it depends. Do you want the business associated? So we're at this boot camp, right? You were the presenter. I was there as a student, and I remember they were supposed to take us on a property tour, and the person who had just finished flipping a house that was supposed to be on the property tour for the people in the class, and there were a few hundred people in the class, if I remember, like 150, 200. We had 3 busloads of people. And so they had given notice like the day before the boot camp, like, "Sorry, the house is in an HOA." And the HOA said, "We can't bring 3 busloads of people to this newly remodeled house." And so I was just kind of sitting in the back of the room and kind of raised my hand and talked to one of the people that were working there and said, I just finished a house. It's fully renovated. It's on the MLS. It's ready to go. Like, I'll be happy to bring 3 busloads of people to my project.
Not the words every real estate investor will say.
Honest,
Trying to sell this thing, put 300 people in it. Cool.
honestly, you know what? I kind of actually remember that day thinking like this was going to push me a little bit outside my comfort zone. It was going to put me on the spot, but people were going to know who I was, right? Like the 200 people in that class were now going to know my name. And I'm not going to lie, I remember the little bit of an internal struggle happening, going like, do you really want to volunteer for this? Like, you're going to put your name on the map kind of thing. Like, you know, and I just remember being like, yep, that's exactly why I have to do it, because it's a little uncomfortable. So let's volunteer for this.
And then we ended up at the house, folks. And if you know me, if you've been listening to the show or been following myself or Roger for any length of time, I like, when it comes to rehab projects, my favorite place to go, it's like one of my first things to go look at, is the master bathroom. And if the master bathroom is on point and it's got an amazing shower, I'm all in. I'm sold. Like, I will buy a house simply off of the look and feel of a master bathroom. And that's what I did. I got to Marie's place, and that was the first place that I went. And I even slid the glass door open and climbed into the shower. And I was standing there in the shower like this. And one of the students snapped a photo of Sean standing in the shower at this finished rehab, acting like he was
If I
using
remember
it.
correctly, there was the rain shower head in the middle of that too. So you were
There
like
was.
standing under the rain shower head.
Because I've always made this joke that I think like the best master shower would have, and we're redoing our master bath right now at the house, and I'm doing all the work myself because it's it's kind of my gift to Deanna, so to say. But I've always said that like the best master shower, and I haven't been able to figure this final part out, would be the rain shower head, some body sprays, right? The main head, maybe a wand, but you need to get the floor jets where water shoots kind of like a car wash, right? The undercarriage spray down.
The body jets aren't
So, yeah.
enough, huh?
No. See, sometimes that undercarriage gets a little
You
dirty,
need the bidet
and you need
action.
some. Yeah, well, the toilets have those, but you need that in the shower. So, anyway, that has nothing to do with real estate marketing. However, that project, if you could get that type of a shower, man, the marketing that can happen from that, oh, I could just see the videos.
Well,
I always leave it to Sean to go above and beyond, right? Oh man, yeah. I'm actually curious, Sean. I know I'm coming out to visit here pretty soon. So once you're done with that shower, I'm not going to be surprised to see some jets coming out from the floor.
No, I got shot down on that one. I was trying to figure it out, but Deanna said no go on that on that part. But there is a rain shower head. There is the wand,
yeah.
and there's the main shower head. So there's definitely a human car wash factor
I'm
starting.
thinking you need like, those like little outdoor like water play areas for the kids, like those splash pads where the water comes up from the ground.
Yeah,
It's something like that. We need to figure out who manufactures those, see if we can get them for residential
for a
use.
residential shower, somehow be able to put. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. All right, Roger, you're gonna have to interrupt me if you want to ask any questions because I've got a bunch of crap I'm just gonna fire off at her. So I'm gonna
Oh
be
no,
polite
yeah.
and ask you, do you have anything? But here forward, Marie and I together, today's mission is to try to teach you how to interrupt on a podcast.
Nice.
No, absolutely. I know that that's the goal right there. I've been kind of taking a little bit of notes. There's a couple things I definitely want to touch on. I don't think we're there yet, but Marie, I had no idea. I was kind of writing some notes here. You were an engineer 14 years before this. I know we were a part of at least a part of that time when you did the transition, which was super cool to watch. I remember you saying like, I finally, went 100% in. I remember that, but what I didn't realize is how long you had been in your corporate job, right?
Yep.
So that's something to be said, right? Having that confidence and being able to say, "Hey, I'm all in." So that's really really cool. And then just the stories that you shared, I think our audience can relate to that, where you're trying to kind of transition in, and then you have this picture depending on what course you took or what shows you watched, the picture of the end game, the success.
Yep.
And what people don't usually talk about is what we like to get into, which is that time of struggle, right? So it's really cool to kind of see that. And the last thing I have here, just to keep things moving, is I really appreciate you going into the Airbnb game, because we were able to grab an Airbnb from you for next year
Yes.
for spring training. So that is really cool to kind of listen to that story and just be a part of that as well as a customer. So I know you guys are killing it. The property is beautiful. So yeah, just wanted to give you some
Might have to
kudos there
throw
and just things that I'm picking up. So
We might have to throw a little private training while we're in Phoenix during that week
Yeah.
at the house.
Sure.
I have to talk with the host and see if she'll allow
Well,
it.
think about it now. That'll be my second Airbnb that you've been at, because you've also been to my Sholo property, which is
Correct.
that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to dig in to a couple things here. Obviously, you guys have had a ton of success, right? You've been able to eventually walk away from a very lucrative, professional career as an engineer. You felt like, okay, and now's the time. But let's talk a little bit about some of the transition, some of the changes that you've made just over the last couple of years in the real estate space, and some of the big kind of highlights. And the way I want you to kind of talk about this is kind of put a mirror in front of yourself. And if you were talking to the Marie 2-3 years ago, knowing what you know now, what are some of the big things that you look back and go, man, I wish I would have made some of those changes sooner?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I'll just throw this in really quick. At one of my first real estate events, I remember Robert Kiyosaki saying, like, write down a big goal that's going to motivate you to like keep you going when times get tough. And so just to throw out like a personal development type of thing, right? Make sure you're putting your goals down on paper, because you put it out in the universe and you'll get it. At that time, I was about 25, and I wrote, I want to retire from my engineering job by the time I'm 40. Looking back, I wish I wrote 30, because I would have made it happen. My husband wrote, I want a supercar by the time I'm 40. So he got the supercar. I got to retire, but I didn't make it early enough. So I wish I would have made it sooner. Um, and, beyond that, it's really kind of specifically too, I want to talk about the marketing, because I think this is so big, right? And it's what you teach. When you start, you think you want to do everything. And we all get that shiny object syndrome. Like, I'll do Airbnbs and I'll flip and I'll try this and I'll try that and I'll try whatever work. Like, whatever you think.
I just want to do
Throwing
deals.
spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, right? Like, you're just like, I
Right.
just want a deal. I don't care. And you don't get specific, and you don't target a specific thing or a specific person. And honestly, in the last 3 years, I can tell you, from what we're doing right now, identifying our avatar, being very specific, what type of properties, what neighborhoods we want to be in, who our preferred client is, has made a huge, and even after doing real estate for so long, I still was trying to just catch such a wide, like, put out the wide net, right? And just I'll catch anything. And like, now it's even on my flips, they're very focused on, like, I'm only going to flip a property that will also make a good Airbnb, because that's my backup exit strategy, right? Like, if I can't sell it, I can refinance it, keep it as an Airbnb. So I make sure my flips will work as Airbnbs. And then, you guys obviously know, like, with me and Jake in North Carolina, we're specifically targeting these military families, because Jake is a vet. I have the heart space for that too, with my husband being 9/11, all this stuff. Like, thank you for all the servicemen and women. Roger, your wife too. Shout out to her. So once we started niching and really getting specific with our messaging and going for the military, like, we had people reaching out to us saying, "Oh, you're helping military personnel. Like, do you want to advertise with us? Do you want to do this? How can we help you help the military?" Right? Like, we got specific, and then those people were attracted to us.
It's funny you bring that up. Roger, I was talking with a good friend of ours, Nick Montano, the other night. And we were talking about some stuff, and there's a mission that he's like, he wants to take not just his restaurant, but some tournament things and just different stuff that we're doing. And he kept coming back to, and not to put him on the spot out there, he won't listen to this anyway, but he kept coming back to money, right? So that we can attract these bigger players and we can get more money, and money can help, do this. And it's like, yeah, that's great. Right? Money's always good because you can make an impact. You can give it back, right? There's so many things that you can do with it, but we can't lead with that. And I don't know why this just came to me, but it goes back to what Marie was just saying, right? When you guys got super specific and started talking the military side, I guarantee you there's some people out there right now that are going to listen to this or, watch it and be like, oh, that's the golden ticket. That's the secret, right? Marie and Jake, and then they're now suddenly finding success in the military side. I got to go do that. The component that's missing was, not only are you guys super specific on who, but there's a passion behind that.
Yes.
And I don't even know if anybody caught it, but it kind of choked you up a second there just to even talk about it, right? And that stems through into that marketing message, right? And I'm sorry to say it, but if you're trying to just do it because, oh, I think that will be successful, or, oh, because, Marie said that that's working for her, the bullshit meter goes really quick, right? People sniff right through that. So, Roger, I'm going to kick it over to you. I see your hand flying, right?
But I just want to add that that's very true what you're kind of mentioning there in regards to, number one, being very specific. And you know me, right? It's like I'm on the always come from the marketing side, SEO, side of everything that's being said on some of the stuff. And really niching down and identifying that avatar ideal client, super important because you control the narrative of what information you're putting it out there. And one of the things that you said as well with like putting it out there kind of to the universe, right? What you're doing, what you want to do, putting your thoughts, because that subconsciously makes you perform in a certain way. And you make decisions based on that. You don't even know. And some people might think, hey, it's the universe and this, but in reality, it's your subconscious mind making those decisions because you wrote them down, right? So that's excellent to put out there because it's not magic, guys. It's actually making a decision and putting it in a manner that you see it every day. Correct. So that's really good. The other thing is, in order for that to work, Marie kind of points out you and Sean as well. Um, it can't be a mere wish. It has to be a burning desire. And I think um, it's important to know that right out of the gate because it can't be something like, hey, I wish, I could do this and I'm going to try it. You're already losing. It has to be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to follow through. So I can appreciate that because I also had some aha moments in my life when it was like, I don't know why things aren't happening. And then as soon as I went all in, lo and behold, things start happening. It's just like magic, right? But in reality, it's me making that decision and actually holding myself accountable. So that was really cool. But I just want to get more comments as I listen. This is a good. I love where you're coming from on all this stuff. And then the other thing with the military and what you guys are kind of helping out. I appreciate that. Obviously, you guys know my wife is also active duty, so we look at this. I look at it on what you guys are doing, and we've been through it. We've done, a big transition from Guam over to the Washington, D.C. area. Before that, we went from San Diego to Guam. And you're always looking to sell, right? You're always looking for
The
help.
corner type moves, right? You're just going
Yeah,
like
those are brutal.
street to that street, right?
Yeah. So having someone like Jake and Marie being able to not only go out there and say, hey, we can do this and throw a bunch of stuff out there, but actually bring value. I think that's the difference as well. So when you have that burning desire, you're not just out there to kind of make a buck. You're trying to really create solutions, right? And that's what sells. So if you're looking, I think Sean, you kind of pointed this out just a moment ago. It's like people are going to hear this like, we found the secret sauce. We're going military, right? We're going to target military people. No, it could be anybody. You got to bring the full burning desire that you want to help that particular person, and you have to bring value, right? You have to bring systems, solutions that's value to them. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sure we'll build on that, but that was really, really good, Marie. You guys are doing that.
So Marie, let's go down this track. Give us a little bit of the who is a Laura Holmes? How did a Laura Holmes come about? Because obviously you've had A Stellar, which has been the Phoenix brand and the Phoenix company. You've dabbled in some other stuff here and there too. Hasn't always been perfect. Right? I use that word perfect. It's been fun, right? There's been learning lessons, but it's never been perfect across the board. But give us a little bit backstory. Obviously, Laura Holmes focuses a lot on the military side of things, but go a little deeper. Who is Laura? How'd that all kind of transcribe?
Yeah, so Jake and I met at a networking event actually just about a year ago. It was September last year. And he was just into real estate a few months, was already kind of trying to hire a virtual assistant and work on marketing and acquisitions and like getting properties under contract. But he met me and said, I'm scared to put a property under contract because I have no clue what I'll do with it. Like, I don't know who I'll sell it to. I don't know if anyone will buy it, right? Those initial fears when you're first starting out. So
Mm-hmm.
he was taking the courses, he was starting to take steps, which to me, it's like if you're learning and you're not taking action, forget about it. Like, what's the point, right? You got to take action. So he was taking action, but then he was still just getting stuck at that point of like, I don't want to actually sign the contract because I don't know what will happen. And we just talked for a while and we were like, we'll buy them. We were in a place where we were looking for rentals and like the market that he was in, just made sense. We could buy them. And he was like, really? And we're like, yes, you can sell them. We are your buyer. We will buy. And we gave him specific criteria, how much we wanted to spend on the property, how much we wanted to be able to rent them for. And then I would get on the phone with them every Friday afternoon and it'd be like a little coaching call. And I'd walk them through, I'd help them analyze the deals, look at things. And within 6 months, I bought 4 properties from him. So
And then that led
and then
to
that led to us deciding like we should really team up and do this together. So I know my last name is Baginski, but I'm half Italian, so that's my married name. Jake in the military was over in Italy for 3 years. So the when we started working together, we'd make these jokes about Italy all the time. My Italian, mafia type family, but him actually living there for 3 years. And so when we decided we would come together and actually go into business together, we chose a Laura Holmes as the name of our company just because allora is an Italian word and it's very commonly said out there. So it was just, I don't know, it was just one of those funny things. So that's where we came up with the name. And then, I mean, it was really working with you guys that we started to really niche down on the military. Because at first, Laura Holmes was a little bit more generic, right? When we first started, we
Mhm.
were, again, I've been doing real estate for a long time, but it was always like a side thing and it was never so focused from the entrepreneur perspective, right? From an owner perspective and learning and just looking at our marketing strategy, we're like, what first of all, I think what you said, Sean, was great. Like what speaks to our heart, what's really in our heart space that's gonna encourage us and have us move forward, and like who do we want to help, how can we do this coming from a really good heart space. And Jake being a vet, and me again just loving our servicemen and women. I have a lot of fire department, police department in my family. You guys like all up on a pedestal to me, like those are our heroes. So I was like, yes, let's do that, let's make it focused on military families that are coming in and PCSing, and you're moving around.
Talk about that for a second, though,
Yeah,
because you say it right now, like, "Oh yeah, we decided." Okay,
yeah,
what was going through the mind at that time? Because this is an area I personally think. I know Roger kind of seconds this, and I'm sure you'll agree here too. Real estate investors, when we talk about this, you need to niche, you need to niche, you need to niche, right? You need to find your specialty in the real estate space. It scares the bejesus out of them because they're like, I'm going to miss out on all kind of other stuff if I niche.
yeah.
So talk about that transition right there because you fought it,
Oh,
you knew
definitely.
it, you fought it, you kept falling back to the other way, but then you finally made it. So what led to that? How did you get there? What was going through the mind? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I honestly think one of the turning points with my mindset in specific was when I came out to your event and we had those couple days in LA where we were talking about niching, and you were training us up, giving us all of the marketing stuff, and you showed us some videos of your old business model, right? Of Rust
Mhm.
Belt rentals and the property management side and the flipping side and this side, and we were like, well, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to offer a complete package of services, right? We didn't just want to wholesale properties and one off transactions. Like, we wanted to be able to help a community and really be able to offer all these different services. But then it's like, you can't offer all the services to everyone all the time. Like, it would be
Right.
exhausting too, right? So it's like, how do we build this system of saying, okay, we want the rentals, we want to have some fix and flips, maybe we'll wholesale some properties, like we can do it all, but we really want to be specific in who we help. And that avatar lead sheet before we I came out to the training, Jake had filled it out and was like, I mean, he's military. He was like, let's just talk about military guys that read Guns and Ammo magazine, and we know where they are and we know how they think, right? Because him just knowing it and us
Mhm.
understanding it, like it was like we can talk to this person because we know what they're going through. So it really was like a combination of just kind of finally seeing the full picture, and just knowing who we wanted to help and who we already understood, right? Like,
So folks, let that sink in for a second because the event that she's talking about, just to put some time to that. First, you got your first real estate transaction was what year?
oh, 2009.
So 2009, we're in 2022. And the event that she's talking about that finally opened her eyes and let her realize, holy shit, I do need to niche down here and just trust it, trust the process, believe in it, go all in on that, was May of 2022.
Yep.
2009 to May of 2022. She's finally a recovering, do all things to all people real estate investor.
I'll call it a recovering perfectionist.
There we go. So, Roger, I see you writing some more stuff, so I know you got some things on this topic here.
I think we all suffer from that, though, Marie. I know, like, there's different every time you want to go into even a certain job, right? It's like you're trying to kind of decide what you're going to do. You want to do everything for everybody. In our personal lives, we want to do everything for everybody, right? But at the end of the day, I think you're starting to realize that at the entrepreneur level, it's actually a better solution that you're providing for your clients when you niche down, because you're able to provide systems at the end of the day, right? When you're general, even though it might be an industry that you're serving, for example, in this case, we're talking real estate. You go and you want to help everybody, but when they come to you for advice, the value is diluted big time. I've seen it over and over, and you guys have seen it as well. But when you're specific to military, in this case, I mean, our family, we transition every 3 years. If we come to you, you're probably going to have a game plan for me, multiple game plans that we can select from, that we can then offload a property that we purchased here where we're at now, and then maybe even help me purchase another property where I'm going, right? Depending on what you're offering. Now, I'm not saying, and I'm sure that's how you are as well, Maria. I'm not saying, hey, you can't be a real estate investor, wholesaler, and an agent, because you can just service a certain niche, and then you become a master at that. You become known, the best known, right? We keep pushing that narrative as well. You become the best known, basically person that helps military families in this particular situation. You're golden. It's old fashioned brand building, right? You become that brand that people want to go to.
So we don't have too much time left here, but let's go a little bit farther on this piece here, right? So May, you finally become the recovering perfectionist. June, I think, is when we finally kind of relaunched some stuff for you, got some things going, got the ball moving on things. July was really kind of probably the big kickoff of all of this. You know, we got through August. We're now middle September. Talk a little bit about kind of how's business going now? What are things looking like? Obviously, momentum starting to pick up, these type of things.
Yeah. So over the last couple of weeks, we've gotten 3 properties under contract. We've had a military contract agency actually reach out to us saying, hey, we came across your website. We see you help the military. We actually market to the military. We're hired by the DoD as a contractor, but we provide these base guides to the military personnel coming in and out of the bases here. You know, we saw your messaging, we saw your website. We love that you're helping military. They kind of interviewed us to make sure, again, we were coming from the right heart space. And, you know, once we said, well, we are veteran owned and operated and all that, and they were like, yeah, you guys should come, you know, advertise with us, because we'll literally put you in front of the people that are either coming in or out of the local base. So I think that was one of the most eye-opening experiences for me in particular. The fact that we had a conversation.
Getting that phone call.
Yeah, because we had a conversation saying, you know, if we do build the right systems and we get our everything in place and we understand that we can offer them, you know, short-term rentals if they're just coming in for a few months for training. We can offer them short-term rentals just so they can get set up and then find the house that they want to move into, you know, for the next few years. And we can offer the long-term rentals if they just don't want to buy, or we can offer the fix and flips that's fully renovated if they do. Like we were putting together all the pieces of our strategies and our services and our offerings. And then we were like, once we get this down, we can move this to any base in the country. How do we get in touch with the people at the base so that we can offer these services? And again, like you said, Roger, it was like one of those things where I was like, you put it out in the universe, you say, this is what I want. And like 2 weeks later, we get that call that's like, we are in 176 bases around the country. We want to get you in locally here, but once you're in, we can get you in everywhere. So, we put it into what our 10-year, 5-year vision was for the company. And then it literally fell into our lap. They contacted us. And it was
If we were on
No.
our other platform, that's a gold drop moment right there.
Oh yeah. I do want to point one thing out though, just to make sure if nobody caught that. It's like there came the time when they reached out to you, right, Marie? And you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. Me and Jake were just talking about that. It's magic, most people think. But if you take a couple steps back, they made a decision to niche down number one, and they've been working with us for a while now. So we've been putting down the foundational pieces already out there because that was part of the master plan, right? We're going to start. You have to have a good foundation when we start creating. Basically, start creating your awareness, your website, your social media profiles, everything that puts your brand out there, right? You curate. You take content you're creating, you start syndicating that stuff out there. And then the time will come when you're having the conversation with your partner, like Marie did. Hey, what else do we need? What's next? Well, how do we get a hold of these people? And people will feel like magically are starting to get a hold of you. But in reality, you've put the foundation down. People know who you are. The first thing people do when they need something, they're going to go to a search engine like Google, right? They're going to search and they're going to try to find people. Or if somebody gives them a word of mouth basically recommendation, they're going to research that person online. So they're going to go look for you on your social media, on your website. So what I want, the point that I'm making here is that we're doing a pretty high level campaign for Jake and Marie on what they're doing, but we're very early. We're very early in this stage, and they're already getting contacted by offline type marketing, right? Because that offline marketing is looking online to find people.
Yep.
So that's a really, really good point that you made there, because that's basically an aha moment everybody should have, that, hey, I need to get my foundational pieces in place because everything works together.
So Marie, get a little selfless here for a second. I'm a military vet myself. Let's say I'm still active. Yeah. What makes a Laura Holmes so great? I get it. You're military run, and you've got some really good messaging, and you've got this Googlenator dude on your side, and he's got you showing up in the right places. But what makes a Laura Holmes so great?
Right now, it's just we're training all of our employees to understand exactly what it's like to go through that permanent change of station, that PCSing. We're going to talk that lingo. We're going to understand what you've been through. Jake had to move from Italy to the United States in the middle of COVID, right? So understanding what it's like to have the military inventory all your property, to be able to move it, to store it, to go through that. We have a deep understanding of what you're going through that most other real estate investors aren't going to have. That's the difference.
I love that. I love the fact that you just nailed hey, I'm going to speak the lingo, right? I know who it is.
Yep.
That I'm talking to, right?
So yeah, we're even training our VAs on jarhead lingo. So it's like you're gonna know everyone in our company.
I'll have to be the judge of that, because that's like Spanish. There's a lot of dialects to jarhead lingo.
Very, very true. I try to understand it on our trek.
Roger got a full immersed experience.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're making it part of our script training, Sean. It's like the real estate side of the script training and the military side. So it's like real estate lingo, military lingo.
Yeah, the fact that Roger's still sitting here after spending 25 days in the wilderness with 2 Marines.
Yeah, not one, 2.
I know. And you made it through, Roger.
And I made it through because of those guys. I mean, it's a tough gig, but it's these guys really kind of help out.
He doesn't talk too much about this, Marie, but maybe when we do, I want to get webinar together where he and I can just share some of the ahas and the breakthroughs that we had while we were out there. But there was a moment I remember clearly. We're coming up this just grinding pass from a resupply. I'm talking about Kearsarge coming back in, Roger.
Yep.
And we get to the top, and Roger's like, "You know what I just did on that 3-mile stretch to get up here?" And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "I wrote a chapter of my book in my head."
Nice.
And I was like, "Well, what's the title of the chapter?" And he's like, Two Marines and a Tech Guy. Because that was the first day that it was just the three of us, right? It started with 5, it dropped to 4, and then that morning was the first day when it was just the three of us continuing this journey to see if we'd get to Yosemite. And I think the realization hit him that I'm this lone tech dude in the wilderness with 2 Marines.
That's awesome.
All right, Roger, you got anything for me before we start to wrap up? If not, I got one final question for her.
No, just another comment. I actually had a friend of mine that when we were in Guam, their family was transitioned over to I believe Naples, Italy, and I heard the nightmares, right, of what it takes to PCS from overseas to overseas, and it's just as painful from overseas back to the States. So I hope you guys continue in this journey. I'm sure you will. You guys are doing great, and this is a service that's needed big time. And I might become a customer very soon in the next couple of years.
All right, Marie. So you've been around REI Toolbox. You've been around the brand now for a number of years. And we're going to put that same mirror back in front of you. But this time you're not talking to Marie from the past. We're talking to Marie, who's still sitting out there maybe trying to grind it through, trying to figure out what this whole game is about. They're listening to the 50 million gurus that are telling them something different all over the place, right? What kind of advice can you give that individual, especially on the marketing side of the equation? Because it really is the bloodline, right? Without it, you're dead in the water. What advice would you give that person?
Choose one path and go all in. And if it doesn't work after a few months or something, you can change, but don't try and do everything all at once. Don't try and, be the answer to everyone, solve every problem out there. Find your avatar, find your lane within real estate, right? And just stay in that lane until you understand that lane and get systems in place and get it up and running. Don't switch to another lane and try and do it's like you can't try and wholesale and flip and do Airbnbs all in your first 3 months of real estate. Like, no, pick one. Stick it out, choose it. And, in marketing, it's find your avatar, stick to it. What truly speaks to your heart, you're going to be able to help those people that you can connect with because you understand them. I wouldn't be able to work with someone who, I don't know, I can't even think of but I know that I can help military families relocate. I understand what they're going through and it speaks to my heart space. I want to help them. So find what speaks to your heart space, niche down to it, and go all in.
What do you love most about REI Toolbox?
I was going to say you guys.
No, don't be so cheesy.
That's good enough for me.
I think I said to you, Sean, a couple years ago, I'm done going to 10 different trainings every year. You're my guy. I'm all in. I'm going to do whatever Sean tells me to do. I'm going to do it. I mentioned that earlier. If you're not taking action, what's the point? So find someone who you trust, who you can work with, and go all in. And that's it for my marketing. You guys are my guys. I'm not taking advice from anybody else because you can't do it all anyway.
So with that being said, did you do your homework from yesterday?
I actually did start putting together my list of what my marketing is going to be for all 7 days. I have it like Roger
today,
did. I put it in my head. I haven't put it on paper yet.
but today's day one. So you haven't actually picked up the phone and hit
I
record
have not
yet.
hit record yet, but I thought I
Well,
did
good
think it
news.
through.
Good news is it's only noon. You've
I
got
do.
time.
I have time. I have time.
Awesome. Roger, anything you want to end it before we let Marie go?
Oh, I'm going to finish it with a little bit of tech advice for everybody, since we are talking, the creation of video. So take this down, because there's a future training that we'll put out there. But since we're getting into that when you do put content out there, because I saw some good stuff from Marie's website, so I'll show you later some stuff we're seeing, Marie. But create, curate, generate, syndicate, evaluate, and then you dominate. So write that down.
Damn, that is some deep.
I know.
You spent all episode putting that together, didn't you?
I did.
And so next time you're actually going to go into the details of what all of those like 6 words that you just threw out there meant.
Say them again.
What's that?
Say them again.
Create, curate, generate, syndicate, evaluate, and dominate.
And that gets me fired up, and I don't even know what's in your mind yet.
It's coming.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Marie. It's always fun to get on and BS, and I feel like we could probably do this for hours upon hours upon hours straight. But I do want to respect everybody out there, their time, they're listening. If you guys got something out of this episode and you enjoyed Marie and you want her back on the show, hit us up. Let us know. We'll try to get her back in a couple months. Maybe we'll do a, hey, where are they at today? Style episode or something like that. But how can, if people want to connect with you, they want to follow you, they want to, reach out, connect, something like that, what's the best way for them to touch base?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Marie Baginski, mariebaginski.com, lauraholmes.com. I'm all over the place.
There you have it, folks. She's all over the place because she listens and she gets everywhere.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Okay. We'll see you.
See you later, Marie.